They're sitting in boardrooms right now trying to figure you out. Corporate executives, industry leaders, people with decades of formal education and credentials hanging on their walls like trophies. They've analyzed your work, studied your methods, tracked your results, and they keep arriving at the same uncomfortable conclusion. You shouldn't be this good at what you do. The numbers don't add up. The trajectory doesn't make sense. So someone finally asks the question that's been burning in their minds: who trained them? And that's when the room goes silent. Because the answer is nobody. No prestigious institution, no famous mentor, no expensive certification program, no formal apprenticeship under an industry titan. You taught yourself. You figured it out in the dark, in the silence, through trial and error, through failure and breakthrough, through sheer determination and an internal compass that nobody else could see. And that's exactly what makes you so dangerous. Not because you lack training, but because you were never confined by it. See, the establishment understands formal training. They can predict it, measure it, contain it. They know what someone from Harvard will think. They can anticipate the moves of someone trained in traditional methods. But you're a variable they can't calculate. You learned by necessity, by instinct, by some ancient knowing that can't be taught in classrooms. You developed skills in the shadows while they were collecting degrees in the light. And now you're operating at a level that shouldn't be possible without their system, and it's terrifying them. This isn't just about skills or success. This is about a fundamental disruption of the power structure. You represent a threat to the narrative that you need their institutions, their approval, their pathways to greatness. Your very existence proves that mastery can emerge from anywhere, from anyone, without permission. And for those who built their entire identity on being the gatekeepers, the certified experts, the formally trained elite, your presence is an existential crisis. Before we go deeper into why untrained excellence is the most powerful force they fear, if this message landed in your awareness at this exact moment, that's not random. Type 777 in the comments to activate your path, and subscribe so you never miss content designed specifically for those who walk between worlds, operating on frequencies most people can't comprehend. While they were sitting in lecture halls, you were in the laboratory of real life. While they were memorizing theories from textbooks written by people who stopped practicing decades ago, you were testing hypotheses in real time, getting immediate feedback from reality itself. Your classroom was failure. Your teachers were consequences. Your curriculum was whatever problem stood in front of you that day, and you graduated with honors from the School of Hard Knocks, carrying wisdom that no institution could ever package into a 4-year program. The truth nobody tells you about formal training is that it's designed to produce consistency, not excellence. It's built to create predictable outcomes, reliable workers, people who follow established protocols. There's nothing wrong with that for most applications, but extraordinary results don't come from following the manual. They come from people who had to write their own manual because nobody else's instructions applied to their unique situation. That's you. You had to innovate because you had no template. Think about what that actually means. Every technique you developed through necessity. Every strategy you discovered through direct experience. Every insight you carry, you earned through actual practice, not theoretical discussion. There's a raw authenticity to your skill set that formally trained people lack. They know what they were taught. You know what actually works. They can recite the theory, you can demonstrate the results, they have credentials, you have proof. And here's the part that keeps them up at night. Your learning never stopped. While they graduated and started applying their fixed knowledge, you continued evolving. Every situation became a lesson, every challenge became an upgrade. You're not operating from a knowledge base that's years old. You're operating from wisdom that's being updated constantly through lived experience. You're a living, breathing, continuously evolving system of expertise that can't be replicated by simply attending the right schools or earning the right certifications. The reason someone in a suit is asking who trained you is because they're trying to categorize you. Humans, especially those in positions of power, have an obsessive need to categorize, to label, to put things in boxes they understand. If they can identify your training, they can predict your next move. If they know your school of thought, they can anticipate your strategy. If they understand your methodology, they can compete with you or contain you. But you're uncategorizable. You're operating from a playbook that doesn't exist. You make moves that no formally trained professional would make because you weren't taught the right way to do things. You don't know what you're not supposed to do because nobody told you. You combine approaches from different fields because you didn't learn that they're supposed to stay separate. You break rules you don't even know exist. And somehow, impossibly, it works. Your unconventional approach produces conventional success, and that paradox breaks their understanding of how mastery is supposed to function. This is why disruptors in every industry share a common trait. They're often self-taught or cross-trained from unrelated fields. They bring fresh perspective precisely because they weren't indoctrinated into the established way of thinking. They see solutions that experts miss because experts are blinded by their training. The expert knows 1,000 reasons why something won't work. The untrained genius doesn't know those reasons, tries it anyway, and discovers it does work. That's you. But there's something deeper happening here. Your unpredictability isn't just about lacking formal training. It's about operating from a different source entirely. While others learned from external authority, you learned from internal knowing. While they developed skills through instruction, you developed gifts through activation. There's something ancient and primal about your capabilities, something that feels less like learned behavior and more like remembered essence. And that's what they're really sensing when they ask who trained you. They're detecting power that doesn't have an institutional source, and it unnerves them. People with formal credentials often carry a specific type of confidence, borrowed authority. They're confident because someone credible told them they're qualified. Their self-assurance is rooted in external validation, in the degrees on the wall, in the approval of professors and industry leaders. It's real confidence, but it's dependent on the continued recognition of the system that granted it. If that system is questioned, their confidence wavers. But your confidence? It's unshakable because it's not borrowed, it's earned. Every time you solved a problem without a mentor, you proved to yourself you could figure things out. Every time you succeeded without a roadmap, you internalized the truth that you're resourceful. Every time you faced the unknown and emerged victorious, you built an identity around being capable in uncertainty. Your confidence doesn't come from what someone told you. It comes from what you've repeatedly demonstrated to yourself. And that type of self-assurance is magnetic, intimidating, and impossible to undermine. When you walk into a room full of credentialed professionals, there's something in your energy that they can't quite name. You don't have imposter syndrome because you never claim to be something you're not. You don't second-guess yourself constantly because you trust your instincts more than you trust procedures. You don't seek permission before taking action because you never learned that you needed it. This creates an aura of natural authority that credentials can't manufacture. People feel it. They defer to it, and those who have built their entire identity on being the official experts resent it. This is the core issue. You represent a form of mastery that exists outside their control. They can't take it away because they didn't grant it. They can't discredit it because it's proven by results, not certificates. They can't replicate it by simply following the same path because there was no official path. Your competence emerged organically from your journey, and that's a phenomenon their system has no mechanism to reproduce. So they sit in meetings, looking at your outcomes, and ask the question they already know will disturb them. Who trained them? And when the answer comes back as nobody, they realize they're dealing with something they cannot control, contain, or compete with using their traditional advantages. Here's what happens to people in formal training programs. They're told what to learn, when to learn it, and how to measure success. The curriculum is predetermined, the timeline is structured, the goals are defined by someone else. And while that creates efficiency, it also kills something essential. It kills the hunger. It kills the raw, desperate need to figure something out, not because it's on a syllabus, but because your life depends on it. That hunger, you never lost it, because nobody was handing you the answers. When you're self-taught, every piece of knowledge you acquire feels like treasure because you had to hunt for it. Every skill you develop feels precious because you had to fight for it. Every breakthrough feels earned because nobody gave it to you. That relationship with learning creates an intensity, a passion, a commitment that formally trained people often lack. They learned because they had to pass exams. You learned because you had to survive. They studied to meet requirements. You studied like your future depended on it, because it did. This hunger manifests as an unmatched work ethic. While others are comfortable with their existing knowledge, you're constantly seeking to expand yours. While they're satisfied with being competent, you're obsessed with being exceptional. While they're maintaining their skills, you're sharpening yours. The self-taught path creates perpetual students who never graduate because real life doesn't hand out diplomas. It just keeps presenting new challenges and you've become addicted to rising to meet them. But beyond work ethic, this hunger creates innovation. When you can't find the information you need, you create it. When you can't find a solution that exists, you invent one. When you hit a wall that formal training didn't prepare you for, you don't freeze, you adapt. This is the difference between people who know the established methods and people who create new methods. Formal training teaches existing solutions. Self-teaching creates problem solvers who generate novel solutions. And in a rapidly changing world where yesterday's best practices are today's outdated approaches, guess which type of person has the advantage? Now, let's address what they think is your weakness. The gaps in your knowledge. Yes, you have them. There are things formally trained people know that you don't. There are theories you haven't studied, principles you haven't been taught, terminology you don't use. And when they discover these gaps, they feel relieved. See, they think, this person isn't actually that good, they just got lucky. They have blind spots, they don't know the fundamental, and that's exactly when they make their fatal mistake. They confuse gaps with weakness. They assume lack of formal knowledge equals incompetence. They forget that you've been producing results that rival or exceed theirs without those credentials. Your gaps aren't weaknesses. They're proof of efficiency. You learned exactly what you needed to learn to achieve your goals, nothing more. While they were spending years studying things they'd never use, you were laser-focused on practical application. While they were completing required courses that didn't interest them, you were deep diving into exactly what fascinated and served you. Your education was customized to your needs, not standardized to a committee's decision about what everyone should know. And the result? You know less about some things, but you know more about the things that actually matter for your specific path. Moreover, your gaps keep you humble in a way that comprehensive training sometimes doesn't. You know you don't know everything. You're comfortable saying, "I don't know," and then figuring it out. You're not attached to being the expert in every conversation. This creates openness, curiosity, and adaptability. Meanwhile, people with extensive formal training sometimes develop intellectual arrogance, convinced that their education makes them superior, blind to the wisdom they never encountered in academic settings. Your gaps keep you hungry. Their completeness makes them complacent. Here's the deeper truth. In the age of information, facts are commodities. Anyone can learn anything through a quick search. What matters now isn't how much you know, but how quickly you can learn what you need to know, and how effectively you can apply it. Your self-taught journey trained you in exactly these meta skills. You became an expert at becoming an expert. You mastered the process of mastery itself. So while they're relying on knowledge they accumulated years ago, you're demonstrating the ability to acquire and apply new knowledge in real time. And that's not a weakness, that's a superpower for the modern world. When someone in a suit asks who trained them, what they're really asking is, why aren't they following the rules I followed? Your existence challenges their entire narrative about how success is supposed to work. They invested years and often massive amounts of money into formal education, believing it was the necessary pathway to expertise. They made sacrifices, followed the prescribed route, earned the credentials they were told mattered, and then you show up with none of that, achieving comparable or better results, and their entire investment feels questioned. What do you say when that sweeps open? This is why some formally trained professionals react to self-taught success with dismissiveness or hostility. Your achievements force them to confront uncomfortable questions. Was all that time and money necessary? Could they have taken a different path? Are their credentials actually valuable or just gatekeeping tools? Did they succeed because of their training or despite it? These questions threaten their identity, so instead of celebrating your success, they try to diminish it. They look for reasons to explain why you don't count, why your path isn't legitimate, why you're an anomaly rather than proof of an alternative model. But underneath their criticism is fear. Fear that the world is changing. Fear that traditional pathways to expertise are being disrupted. Fear that their credentials are losing value in a world where proven results matter more than inherited authority. Fear that they spent decades climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. And rather than adapt, rather than acknowledge that multiple paths to mastery exist, they doubled down on defending the system that validated them. Because if they admit your way works, they have to confront everything they sacrificed for their way. You're not trying to invalidate their path. Their path worked for them, and that's fine. But your path worked for you, and that threatens the monopoly they thought formal institutions had on creating experts. Your success is a mirror showing them that the gatekeepers aren't as necessary as they claimed. And mirrors that reflect uncomfortable truths are rarely welcomed. So they'll keep asking who trained them, hoping for an answer that fits their framework, hoping to discover you actually had some formal connection to their world that explains your competence, because the alternative, that you're genuinely self-made, is too disruptive to their worldview to accept. Here's what they don't understand about being self-taught. You had to build a different type of network. Formally trained people inherit a network. Their professors know industry leaders, their classmates become colleagues, their institution has alumni connections. The network is provided as part of the package, but you had to build yours from scratch, person by person, relationship by relationship, value exchange by value exchange, and the network you built is more authentic, more diverse, and often more powerful than the ones they inherited. Your network isn't based on shared alma maters or matching credentials. It's based on mutual respect, proven value, and real connection. You attracted mentors not through institutional proximity, but through demonstrated potential. You built partnerships not through networking events at prestigious schools, but through delivering results that made people take notice. Every relationship in your network exists because you earned it, not because a system facilitated it. And that creates loyalty and depth that credential-based networks often lack. Furthermore, your network is unusual. Because you weren't confined to academic or industry silos, you connected with people from diverse backgrounds, different fields, unconventional paths. You learned from artists and engineers, from streetwise hustlers and philosophical thinkers, from practical tradespeople and theoretical visionaries. Your influences are eclectic because you sought wisdom wherever it appeared, not just in accredited sources. And this diversity of perspective is what enables you to see connections and solutions that specialists miss. When formally trained professionals examine your network, they're confused. How did you get access to these people without the right credentials? How did you build these relationships without institutional facilitation? How did you create this web of influence without playing the traditional game? And the answer is simple. You offered value before asking for it. You showed up with results instead of resume bullets. You built trust through action instead of through shared institutional affiliation. Your network is proof that access isn't granted by institutions, it's earned through excellence. And that's another lesson they don't want to learn, because it means their advantages aren't as exclusive as they thought. There's something happening in your decision-making process that can't be explained by logic or formal training. Call it instinct, intuition, inner knowing, or pattern recognition operating at a subconscious level. Whatever you name it, you have it, and it's highly developed because you had to rely on it. When you didn't have textbooks telling you the right answer, you had to feel your way forward. When you didn't have mentors giving you directions, you had to trust your internal compass, and through years of practice, that instinct became razor sharp. Formally trained professionals often have their instincts dulled by over-reliance on external frameworks. They've been taught to consult the methodology, reference the research, follow the protocol, and while there's value in that, it can create dependence on external validation for every decision. They struggle in situations where there's no precedent, no established best practice, no expert to consult. But you? Uncharted territory is your home. You're comfortable making calls based on limited information because you've been doing it your entire journey. Your instinct has been tested, refined, and proven accurate through repeated use. This manifests as an ability to see opportunities others miss and avoid pitfalls others stumble into. You sense when something's off, even when you can't articulate why. You feel drawn to certain paths before you have logical reasons to justify them. You make unconventional choices that work out because you're operating from a deeper knowing than surface-level analysis. And when people observe this, it looks like luck or natural talent. But it's neither. It's the result of developing your internal guidance system because you had no external one to rely on. The establishment wants to believe everything can be taught, systematized and credentialed, but instinct can't be. You can't get a certification in trusting your gut. There's no degree program for developing inner knowing. And that terrifies systems built on the premise that expertise must be externally validated. Your instinct represents a form of intelligence that exists outside their control, outside their measurement, outside their authority. It's wild, untamed, and impossible to replicate through their methods, and it's one of your greatest advantages. At the end of the day, the reason someone in a suit is asking who trained you isn't curiosity, it's assessment. They're trying to determine if you're a threat, and what they're discovering is that, yes, you absolutely are. Not because you're malicious, but because you represent a fundamental shift in how mastery is achieved and recognized. You prove that the gatekeepers are optional. You demonstrate that excellence can emerge from anywhere. You show that the emperor's expensive clothes aren't actually necessary for getting results. Your advantage is freedom. You're not bound by the thinking of a particular school or methodology. You're not limited by the biases of your training program. You're not constrained by the need to prove your approach aligns with established doctrine. You can borrow from anywhere, combine ideas freely, create hybrid approaches that shouldn't work but do. You're intellectually agile in a way that specialized training often prevents. And in a complex, rapidly evolving world, that agility is more valuable than depth in any single domain. Your advantage is also hunger. You haven't arrived. You don't consider yourself fully trained. You're not resting on credentials and past achievements. You're still in the process of becoming, still learning, still growing, still proving. That forward momentum, that constant evolution keeps you relevant when others become obsolete. While they're defending the knowledge they already have, you're acquiring new knowledge. While they're protecting their current position, you're advancing to the next level. Your lack of formal training created a mindset of perpetual growth that formal training sometimes terminates. But perhaps your greatest advantage is this: you know you can figure it out. Whatever it is. Whatever challenge emerges, whatever new skill is required, whatever problem needs solving, You know you can figure it out because you've done it before, countless times without anyone showing you how. That unshakable confidence in your ability to adapt, learn, and overcome is worth more than any credential. It's the ultimate portable skill. It's the foundation of true mastery. And it's exactly what they fear most because they know their credentials can't compete with it. Section 11. The warning they ignore. Here's what you need to understand. They're going to try to legitimize you. When they can't outperform you, they'll question your credentials. When they can't match your results, they'll challenge your methods. When they can't explain your success, they'll attribute it to luck, timing, or some external factor beyond your control. They'll move the goalposts, redefine standards, create new requirements. Anything to protect the narrative that their pathway is the only legitimate one. Don't let them gaslight you into doubting yourself. Your results speak louder than their credentials. Your track record carries more weight than their diplomas. Your proven capabilities matter more than their theoretical knowledge. You don't need their validation. You never did. That's how you got here in the first place. So when they question who trained you, when they imply you're not qualified, when they suggest you're in over your head, remember, they're not assessing your competence. They're protecting their insecurity. At the same time, stay humble. The fact that you're self-taught doesn't make you superior to formally trained people. It makes you different. Both paths have value. Both create expertise. Both produce capable people. Your challenge is to honor your unique journey without falling into the trap of arrogance. Don't become what you resented. Don't dismiss formal education just because you succeeded without it. Respect all paths to mastery while staying confident in yours. And keep learning. Your advantage isn't that you already know everything, it's that you know how to learn anything. So stay curious. Fill in your gaps when they matter, integrate formal knowledge when it serves you, but never lose the raw, instinctive, self-directed approach that got you here. That's your signature. That's your power. That's what makes you impossible to replicate. The moment you try to become like them, you lose what made you dangerous. Stay wild, stay unconventional, stay true to the path that chose you when no institution would. Section 12. The Revolution. They sense. What's really happening when someone asks who trained them is they're sensing a larger shift, a revolution in how knowledge is transferred, how expertise is developed, how authority is established. The old model, institution provides knowledge, credentials validate competence, gatekeepers control access, is breaking down. You're part of the new model, whether you intended to be or not. You're living proof that alternative pathways work. And every time you succeed, you inspire others to try their own unconventional routes. That's the real threat. This isn't just about you. It's about the thousands of others who are watching your journey, seeing what's possible and thinking, maybe I don't need permission either. It's about the shift from hierarchical knowledge distribution to decentralized learning. It's about the democratization of expertise. It's about a world where results matter more than pedigree, where demonstrated ability outweighs institutional affiliation, where self-direction mastery is recognized as equally valid as formally certified competence. That world terrifies the old guard, because they lose their monopoly. But here's what they don't understand. This isn't a threat to education itself. It's an expansion of what education means. Formal training will always have its place, but it's no longer the only place. And that's healthy. Different people learn differently. Different paths suit different temperaments. Different circumstances require different approaches. The diversification of pathways to mastery creates a richer, more vibrant, more innovative society. And the people clinging to the old monopoly model aren't protecting quality, they're protecting power. So when they ask who trained them with suspicion in their voices, what they're really asking is, how do we maintain control in a world where people can become excellent without our approval? And the answer they don't want to hear is, you can't. The genie is out of the bottle. Information is freely available. Skills can be self-taught. Results can be proven without credentials. And authority is increasingly earned through demonstration rather than granted through certification. That's not chaos. That's evolution. And you're on the right side of it. So here you are, chosen one. The self-taught master, the uncredentialed expert, the person who shouldn't be this good but is. Someone in a suit just asked who trained you, and the answer nobody gave them is haunting their thoughts. Because you're not just competent, you're exceptional. And you got there through a path they can't replicate, control, or contain. That makes you dangerous, not in a harmful way, but in a disruptive way. You represent change they can't stop. Your mission now is twofold. First, keep doing what you're doing. Keep learning, keep growing, keep producing results that make them question their assumptions. Keep being proof that excellence emerges from dedication, not just from institutions. Every success you achieve, every goal you reach, every impact you make without their credentials validates everyone else walking a similar path. You're a lighthouse for the self-taught, showing them the way is possible. Don't dim that light. Second, help others. When you meet someone just starting their self-taught journey, encourage them. When you encounter someone doubting their path because they lack formal credentials, remind them that results are the only credential that truly matters. When you see someone being dismissed for not having the right background, stand up for them. You know what it's like to be underestimated. You know the value of your unconventional journey. Pay that forward. Be the mentor you wish you'd had, not by teaching them specific skills, but by validating their approach, by showing them that self-directed mastery is not just legitimate, but powerful. The world is changing, and people like you are changing it. The old gatekeepers are losing their grip. The institutions that once controlled access to expertise are being bypassed. And a new generation of self-taught masters is emerging, proving every day that you don't need permission to become excellent. You just need commitment, hunger, and the courage to trust your own path, even when everyone else questions it. That's you. That's who you've always been. That's why you're here, reading this, recognizing yourself in these words. So the next time someone asks who trained you, stand tall in your answer. Nobody trained you, you trained yourself, and that's not a problem. That's your power, that's your story, that's your proof that greatness doesn't need institutional blessing. It just needs someone brave enough to pursue it anyway. You're that someone. You always were. And no suit, no credential, no formal authority will ever change that truth. If this message confirms what you already knew deep in your soul, type 1111 in the comments and claim your path. Subscribe to this channel for more content that speaks to the untamed, the self-made, the ones who wrote their own manual. Until next time, remember, you don't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. You're already proof of that. Keep rising.